So next slide, please. Righteous women are devoutly obedient and guard in their husband's absence what Allah would have them guard. This is another verse that is oftentimes taken out of context by non-Muslims to say, see, Islam is a very male chauvinistic religion. Surah Nisa. Next slide. Obedient, doesn't that seem rather chauvinistic? But who rules what domains in Islam? Negotiation is an important part of Islam. And since, remember, we go back to that slide where the husband is judged by the tears of his wife. What husband in his right mind would want to do things and not negotiate and be oppressive and make a situation in the house where a wife feels like she can't express her opinion for fear of being chastised? This is not an Islamic marriage. So negotiation is a necessity in marriage. Also, the concept of civil disobedience. And what I mean by this is don't disobey your spouses, but both husbands and wives, if you feel strongly about something, isn't it time to express what your thoughts are on it? To express respectfully your thoughts on it? Speak to what would make both of you the most happy and successful in this life and the next, and then arrange something that would work best for both of you. And people tend to, in marriage, sweat the little stuff. They tend to get to little things like, how somebody drives or how somebody eats or how somebody does this, and start bickering about these things or not liking little things about the way you dress or something. But, don't sweat the small stuff. I really feel like the only thing worth arguing is something that is going to harm somebody physically or is going to cause real severe emotional distress. These two things, or is going to destroy somebody else's property. Same with children. There's no sense in fighting with them if they just choose to wear a blue and an orange sock. Nobody's going to be killed. Nobody's going to be killed. They'll probably come back and say, I think the blue socks go really well together. We come around, but you have to be able to express yourself. And for Safans, women, of course, obedience is an admirable trait. It's encouraged to, if a husband says, do this, yes, and then work later to try to convince him why you feel maybe a different way is better, but respectfully. But remember, kindness, patience, tolerance, and generosity are the core of Islamic marriage for both Safans and Marwans. So we have to think of those things first. And then the outlet. If a wife fears cruelty or desertion on her husband's part, there's no blame on them if they arrange an amicable settlement. And men, I'm putting the brackets in because that's not the words used, it's later in the verse, do good and practice self-restraint. Allah is well acquainted with what you do. Again, Surah Nisa. And I brought this up because this is something, the chance for an out. If there isn't a chance for an out in a marriage, then maybe a woman would be subject to great cruelty or abuse, maybe even murder. And it happens in this country. Tens and tens of thousands of women a year are killed because of domestic violence. And in Muslim countries too, don't get me wrong. But here, without the guidance, it happens very commonly. So there has to be an out, a way to get out of a situation, and it should be amicable. And husbands are reminded to do good and practice self-restraint. Next slide, please.